You're going to get old, slower, grayer, achier. And somewhere in the back of your head sits an even bleaker picture, that for almost all of human history, the old were useless, that ancient people barely scraped past 30, and the ones who did get old were quietly left behind to die in the cold. It's a vivid story. It's also almost entirely wrong. The real version is stranger. Old people may be the single biggest reason your species runs the planet. Let's start with that number everyone repeats. Humans used to die around 30. Technically true, completely misleading. That's life expectancy at birth, which is an average, and averages get destroyed by dead babies. When a huge share of children die before they're 5, the math drags the average lifespan down to 30, even if the grown-ups are doing just fine. So strip the infants out and look only at people who survived childhood. According to Gurven and Gurven Kaplan's research on living hunter-gatherers, the most common age of death for those adults wasn't 30, it was closer to 70. Read that again. Cavemen had grandparents, plenty of them. Okay, you say, but they got rid of the old ones. The ice floe. Grandma set adrift on a chunk of ice, waving goodbye. You've heard it 100 times, usually about the Inuit. Tiny problem. There's basically no evidence anyone actually did that. The drifting ice image is folklore, a Western embellishment of something much smaller and sadder. Did frail elders ever get left behind? Yes, rarely, during genuine starvation, when a group on the move literally could not carry everyone. And even then, it was often the elders' own decision. The rest of the time, the rule was the opposite. As long as there was food, everyone got a share, including the people who couldn't hunt. Abandoning the old wasn't tradition. It was the worst thing that happened after everything else had already gone wrong. Dig up the actual bones, and they tell the opposite story. Meet Shanidar 1, a Neanderthal man who died in his 40s, which, for a Neanderthal, is genuinely old. His skeleton is a catalog of disasters. A crushing blow to the left side of his face, which probably blinded that eye. A withered right arm, the lower half simply missing. A damaged leg, likely deaf in at least one ear. And here's the part that matters. Every one of those injuries had healed. He lived for years like that. You do not survive blind, one-armed, and limping through an ice age on your own. Somebody fed him. Somebody kept him. Then there's the old man of La Chapelle. Spine, hip, and shoulder eaten up by arthritis. Most of his back teeth gone. The bone long since grown smooth over the gaps. He'd been falling apart for a long time before the end. Now, to be fair, scientists argue about this. Survival doesn't automatically prove tender, loving care. Neanderthals were tough, but the pattern keeps reappearing. Broken, aging bodies that kept going, surrounded by people who chose to let them. Which brings us to the real question. If a half-blind elder who can't hunt is just another mouth to feed, why keep him? Why would natural selection, which is famously merciless, let us burn decades of food on people who can't even make more babies? Because the old weren't dead weight. They were the hard drive. Before writing existed, there were no books, no archives, no backup. Every piece of knowledge a group owned lived in one place, the oldest head in the tribe. Where's the water in the drought that only hits once every 40 years? Which root stops a wound from bleeding? What did the sky look like the last time the river drowned the camp? The person who remembered was usually the person who'd been alive the longest. We can literally watch this in other animals. In African elephants, families led by the oldest matriarchs are sharper at spotting rare dangers, and they raise more surviving calves. The old matriarch remembers the threat no one else was born early enough to see. Lose her, and the whole family gets dumber and deader. Humans ran the same program, just with better memory and worse knees. And the grandmothers had a second job. This is the grandmother hypothesis from anthropologist Kristen. The idea: a woman who's finished having her own children can pour everything into her grandchildren, digging up tough foods a small kid can't, so the mother is free to have the next baby sooner. More grandkids survive. And here's the wild leap. If grandmothers made that much difference, evolution would have quietly favored women who lived longer and longer past their fertility, which might be part of why humans live as long as we do in the first place. It's still a debated theory, not settled fact. But sit with it for a second. Your long life might be an inheritance handed down by grandmothers who simply refused to become useless. So rewind that cartoon in your head. The old weren't a burden civilization had to carry. They may be the reason there's a civilization at all. The memory bank, the babysitters, the survival manual with a pulse. For 300,000 years, getting old meant slowly becoming the most valuable person in the room, which makes our version the strange one. We invented writing, then printing, then a glowing rectangle that answers any question in half a second. We took the old person's entire ancient job and handed it to a search bar. And then, somewhere along the way, decided the people who used to do that job were obsolete. Your ancestors would not understand us at all. To them, the gray-haired figure shuffling at the back of the group wasn't falling behind. They were carrying everything that kept the rest alive. So next time you watch someone old move a little too slowly, remember what used to live inside that head. You exist because somebody, a very long time ago, decided to keep theirs around.